I'm here.
Hey everybody, Studio 586B Stories. Just another story coming to you. 10 questions today. We're gonna go a really good friend of mine, a guy that I connected with our love of connecting people. That's the thing. Hey Paul, this is Paul
Hey,
McCarthy. How are you doing today, brother?
I'm doing well. Glad you're taking the time to talk to me.
You know what? I think that's kind of our whole purpose is the idea that there isn't a human being on the face of the earth that doesn't have stuff to teach. That the more people I can talk to, the more I'm just delighted. I gave up on my perspective. I started watching all of that stuff where they, went into your perspective just lies to you all day long so you avoid cognitive dissonance. And so one day I said, well, what if I just started trying to see everybody else's outlook instead?
Well, you know what they say. My mantra is everybody is a somebody to somebody.
Right,
Everybody's important, buddy. Everybody knows somebody, belongs to something, um, you know, somewhere.
right.
Even even those people, right? I mean, it's just everybody's connected somewhere.
Everybody has value. There's, it's one of my big things is I've always wondered, what if we could educate everybody on the planet? What would we know? That you think of people in countries where that's not available, and you're like, what if one of those guys was Einstein? You know?
Yeah.
So I have a question, Paul. Where are you from?
Okay. Where am I from? You want to know where I'm from, where I live now, or where I'm from originally? What
How
can you
about how
frame it?
about how about what it means to you?
Where I'm from means a lot to me. I grew up. I'm Canadian. I grew up in a town about 20 kilometers, about 15 miles east of Montreal, a little French town.
Okay.
So I grew up in a bicultural community,
A little
uh,
Quebecois.
little Quebecois. So where I come from has made me kind of different in some ways. Being bilingual makes a difference, and I think it opens your perspective up to different things, makes you more open minded, just my opinion, because having the ability to think in two different languages kind of orients you towards being understanding different cultures. Like, it's the language is a culture. So having two cultures means that you can understand that there could be three cultures or four or five, and that'd be okay. So um, when I think multiculturalism, I think the sadness that I feel for people is the fact they've only been experiencing, one way of doing things through one language. The French only have a word for they only like aimer or the French word for love. It's hard to like someone in French. You can pretty well love them all the time. So,
There's just all kinds of love. There's like this kind of love and that kind of love. There's the other love
well,
and
but it's how you express things, right? The Eskimos have five words for snow, right? I
right.
mean, it just opens up different aspects of thinking and acceptance. And I think I owe a lot to that upbringing because I'm kind of different from, if you run into people in Canada who are English speaking, they're different than the people who are English speaking primarily who grew up in Quebec in the French
Mm.
culture.
I agree
So it
with
gives me
you. I
perspective.
agree wholeheartedly with you because I find, especially in North America, um, we run into a, a hideboundness that just the overall size of an English speaking group in one place. That even if you look at someone another country like that, like you take China, there's a million different dialects through that. But we get as opposed to you drive 100 miles and you need to speak another language. And I think there's actually some scientific backing for what you're saying now. I think there's been discussions of bilingual children, whether it be our Southwest, Quebec, that there's a difference in, like a literal difference in the way their brain works. That it fires in a few extra places, whatever that means. So
Well,
no,
especially for dementia, right? And they're talking now if you speak two languages, it just gives you you use more of your brain. But the interesting part about being bilingual, is that you think in the other language. And when you're thinking in the other language, I find sometimes I forget the words in the other language because it's not like you're just translating in your head. It's
Right.
actually you're in the other language, right? You're in that space, uh, and
Yeah, I
and
totally agree. Because
it's
I've
it,
okay, so I lived in Thailand for 10.5 months. And the wildest part was you started dreaming more fluently than you were before you started thinking in the language. It was the weirdest experience I've ever had. But there are a bunch of words in Thai that would take me a paragraph.
Mm.
Exactly to get that thought across would consume, like you were saying, that right there are thoughts that no, it you get the idea of another thought.
so if you have anybody out there in listening land that has young kids and has the opportunity to enroll them in a bilingual education program, I'd suggest they do it.
I've got one granddaughter. Okay, got Remy. They are current. God, I got to think about that to get that right. But they are currently they are currently 5 or 6 years into taking Chinese that they started in grade school. I know she would know what she Remy is 13 and has been taking Chinese for about 6 years, and I don't even remember that being an option when I was a kid. I don't.
I did get to the point of dreaming in Spanish. Because I remember having one or two dreams that were like perfectly fluent Spanish, and I could understand what was going on. But like as soon as I woke up, I was like, "What happened? I don't, I don't know what happened."
Listen here, 19
No,
year
it
old.
was because
Fluently
I tell you
dreaming
what it
of
was. I
fluently
tell you what it
dreaming of
was.
Spanish
I
girls is
wasn't.
not the
No,
same.
it wasn't that. It wasn't that. It was. I was in a Spanish class where we were speaking Spanish every day. We were reading in Spanish. We were like actively listening to
Oh
people
wow.
speaking in Spanish. We were like it was
Immersion.
yeah, it was fully immersed. And I started dreaming in Spanish and then I moved schools and I had to it was man, I wish I'd have stayed in it and stayed at that school because it was really
You know
dope.
what? One of the problems of speaking two languages is like when I watch the news up here,
Uh-huh.
uh, most of the politicians will speak in both languages,
All right.
and so what'll happen is as they're like it's like I'm guessing when Biden or somebody speaks down there,
Does
not Biden,
Spanish.
they they'll have somebody speaking a different language and they'll do the simultaneous translating. The
Mm.
problem is if I'm listening to the French, I'm waiting for the translation.
So you're translating as well.
It's kind of like an echo in your brain.
Your
It's kind of
brain
like
gets caught in a loop. It's like it's getting reverb.
Right?
it's kind of like coming out. It comes out. You get the guy speaking. The best kind of translation is when they cut off the sound, so you
Oh,
don't
Yeah.
hear the other
yeah.
language. Because if you hear the other language and you're waiting for the translation, you understand the other language. It creates this gap in your brain because you're hearing something and you get it, and then it's coming in another language, and it may not be exactly like even though they do a good job translating, like they get the essence,
It's
but you
never
may
the
be
same. It's
you
never
may
the
be
same.
you may be thinking of something a bit differently, or the translator's probably got the correct expression, but you'd be picking up something like a little bit different. So you've got this kind of like this gap, this information gap in your head, and it actually hurts. Like I'll tell my wife to be watches like I can't watch it if I
It's just
can't
breaking my brain.
I can't watch it.
I can't do it here because we don't have French TV here in BC where I live now. But I would just flip it to the French so I could hear the French if I
So,
wanted to hear it. And then
that
I'd
makes
flip back
sense.
to the English channel, then I'd flip it back to the English channel when they switch back to the English. But occasionally they do one sentence in French and one sentence in English. You couldn't flip the TV back fast enough. I
Oh,
don't. I can't. Anyway,
well,
so that's problems of things you'd never imagine a problem a human could have. It's like, would you please just turn the sound down so I can hear? I
right.
just want to hear
I just
one
want to hear
language.
one. Well,
There you go.
but very much a part of where you're from. It like it, so it really is an interesting part of what makes us. You know, like so if you think of you look back You're growing up a young lad, Quebec, and what's your first memory? The first that, like, you know what I mean? Mine was walking. There's a place that I will always think of as the first place I lived, even though we really only moved there when I was 3. And I can literally picture us on the steps. You know, that you end up with, what's the thing you remember, like that first thought?
Well, it goes back quite a ways. I think when like I can remember stuff back. Maybe my first real thought was my parents brought home my adopted brother,
Okay.
and I think I was 7. I remember him. My parents, we lived in a 2-room apartment, and I remember sharing a room with him. I remember him being in my room. Yeah, I think that's the oldest memory I have. That and when, because he's deaf, and the memory that sticks in my head was when he got his hearing aids. Right, like you have this moment in your upbringing or whatever where, I could just he could hear for the first time, and I remember my mother and him. We're at the wherever he was getting the fitting. I remember going there. I remember the bus ride home. Yeah, I just remember that whole experience. And he would have been, I would have been maybe, I don't know, like a memory that sticks, maybe 10 or 11, like a vivid memory. Right now, I have memories of, you know, things that are kind of disjointed, but just a
Right.
powerful memory.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
that was,
absolutely.
you know, that and Kennedy, the Kennedy assassination,
Okay.
on TV. I don't know how old I would have been. He was 61. I would have been. Was he? When was that? 63. I can't remember when that was.
I want to say 63.
Yeah, I want to say
I want to say
60.
63.
So I would have been 6 years old.
How was
So
that? How was that? Okay, so that's interesting. How was that? How was that taken in Canada? Like,
well, the position of America's changed in Canada, right? I mean, with all the stuff going on. So
right,
back when it was like, it was like it was a big deal. I think anybody, if any American president would have been assassinated, it would be a big deal, right? I mean, you're just an important country, and a world country, right? Like the world country. So it got a lot of airplay, like on all the networks, right? It wasn't
right.
something like, somebody in Botswana, taking a wrong turn, right? I mean, it was, front and center. And just
It's
the nature of what happened, the way it would happen,
That's
it wasn't like
true.
it wasn't a natural death; it was an assassination, right? So it was kind of like, oh, I mean, it was a powerful moment, especially with his son there.
Yeah.
Like I remember piece. So I think a lot of people probably remember that. In my age, like I'm 64. So that would have been a powerful, that and the Apollo astronauts landing on the moon. Like, there were some moments that kind of like world events.
World
Uh,
history beyond simply just,
I remember staying up to watch that moon landing. I was like 11,
oh,
whatever,
wow.
So anyway,
You ever watch Taxi? Going to be the
no,
oddest reference to moon landings,
no, I know the show,
right?
but I never, I
The
never watched.
young lady, Mary Lou Henner, that's on that show, has a didactic memory, so she knows you can mention any day to her.
Yeah, I've heard of those people.
And the interesting point about the moon landing and why this popped into my head was because she admitted on Johnny Carson when he was randomly pulling days and picked the moon landing that no, you missed watching it. That was the day she actually lost her virginity.
Mhm.
It
Oh
was
yeah.
a side fact that just makes you go, huh? So I have a question. How do you work, Paul? I know you're retired, but saying you don't work is a lie because we were running in circles. I happen to see,
Yeah.
what does
So
work
like I'm
mean?
doing well. Work for me is different now. Work is purpose driven. My purpose, as you know, I'm involved in men's work. I've been involved in men's work for a long time, and the pandemic's kind of brought me back to wanting to connect with people. Being locked in a house for a couple of years, and the fact that Zoom has kind of become a viable way to connect people. I started this men's online men's group, and it's pretty small right now. It's still in the formative stages. Uh, Basically, it's a space for men to connect authentically, and to promote a sense of belonging. And now you can comment on that. I mean, we're in this together. I mean, I've started this community, Canada. We have this, um, kind of concept around community. We talked about co-housing, which is a concept that started in Europe, which basically what it is people coming together to buy a property. So, in the sense of using this as a analogy for what I'm trying to do, is basically people come together, they build a condo or townhouse complex.
Yeah, a space that's mutual and then separate
They,
spaces.
they own the space, so you have your own apartment, your own life, and in that space, it's interconnected with the other spaces, the other private homes. And in there, you've got shared space, like shared communal kitchen where people eat meals, got shared living accommodation for guests to come. It's run by the community and it is based on sustainability. There's gardening, there's daycare, there's all sorts of things that bring people together. And it's a way to kind of build out the world. I mean, if you had everybody living in this kind of community, what kind of world would that look like? People
Well,
were taking care of each other, right? I mean, and we cared for one another, and we lived in a shared space, and we took care of the shared space. We planted the trees, we didn't cut them down, right? What would that look like? Well, it
I,
could look like something that I want to try to do, and whether I can do it, I don't know. But you know what? I'm enjoying it, and that's what I'm doing. Part of what I'm doing now.
I think there is literally a so the more I stick my fingers out into the world because I had kind of isolated for a while. What I've found is you're part of a wave. Um, so I call it my 100-acre dream, which is a similar thing to the co-housing thought, which is someday I think I keep going, well, what if with modern technology you could build a self-sustaining system that doesn't really need to keep playing this game? Seems ridiculous we're still doing this, but that when I look at it, I always think of trying to design that communal space that I always go, okay, so where do we make it so that that's a piece that people feel safe?
And Matt, I can't build buildings, but I can create a sense of community. What does a community look like? It looks like people coming together. It looks like a place where you can share openly. It looks like a place you can trust people. It looks like a place where you belong, where you can be vulnerable. It looks like meeting people from around the world. And
Right.
that's just part of what I'm doing. The other part is I'm involved in refugee resettlement. So I'm helping. My purpose is I live to give, and
Mm.
I am right now. I've spent quite a bit of time helping Syrian. Canada has a unique way to bring refugees in. We can actually adopt them.
I've
We
noticed
adopt,
that it seems like a much more active movement than it is here.
yeah, yeah. Well, it's like it's private. You raise money, you get a group of people together. The refugee comes, and then you basically take care of them for you. Get them a place to live. You deal with their kids. You deal with the paperwork. You connect.
Amazing.
You
That's
connect them to the community. So, and now I'm working with Ukrainians. So, like, I'm part of a peer support group. I found out today. You know what's really funny? Not funny, but I have to get a police record check every couple of years because um, when you're working with vulnerable people,
Oh,
you need to go.
okay, I follow. I can understand how that would okay.
Yeah,
It took me
totally,
a minute,
totally.
but I'm there now.
Yeah, but you've got to. Well, anybody dealing with like children or
Yeah, yeah,
vulnerable people.
no.
If you want to do work, volunteer work with refugees or vulnerable people, you need to do this. And there's some guy who's my age who's committed a sex crime somewhere in
Oh,
Canada.
Jesus. So you've
So
ended up on a list somewhere.
I am not on the list. Let me. I just every time I go, like normally, like my wife goes in because she works as well. She does kind of work.
Hmm.
You just fill out the form, you hand it in, they give you your police check. They go on a computer, they check it.
Right.
Every time I go in, it has to be fingerprinted. Every 2 years, I have to go in. I met this guy, who's committed all these crimes. But I said, like, can't you guys just keep a record of this? Like, why do I have to keep doing this?
So it
Anyway, they
happens
can't.
over and over again. You have to go prove that you're that Paul McCarthy, not that Paul McCarthy.
Well, I don't even think it's the guy's name. I think it's the day, like it's by because people can change their names. It's
Mm.
all by all by birthday, right? So if somebody is born, I don't know how it works in the States.
Social Security
If
number.
somebody,
It's all
so,
on, yeah, it's
It's
all on the
social
one thing
base.
Social Security was never supposed to be used for. It's all on Social Security number.
yeah. Anyway, so I had fun with that again today. But yeah, so I live to give. I'm helping. I want to build this men's community, to a place where it's sustainable,
Right.
and I want to like help people. I want to help new refugees. I want to help do. I can't do anything about the killing that Vladimir Putin has inflicted on the world, but I can help on this end, and that's all I can do. Right? I can't stop what's going on, but I can help. I can deal with the collateral damage. Or if
I can tend the edge of the fire and I can push back.
yeah, well, what can you do, man? Like people look at things and they say, well, it's awful and whatever. And I think sending money is a good idea,
Right.
but also helping out and like being a part of a community. It's part of the community. You're bringing them into your town. Help them. And
Well,
it's the same thing with this co-housing thing. It's all about connecting people and making them feel welcome, right?
literally what happens is I go, yeah, we connect on so many levels because our thought is the same. So that what I'm trying to do is create a self-sustaining thing. I'm a little younger than you are, but dad got out at 54. Um, the idea of there needs to be a place, there need to be lots of places where what happens is we actually hear and see each other. That we create a safe space where people for here to tell those stories. They don't need to worry about, oh, I've got to hide who I am here. That the musicians that come in don't pay for studio time. Get invited into the studio to come make music, come play. And I mean by that literally, uh, you know what? It's in their hip hop. They do all the beats and they make the funny noises and they, you know what? I'm an old dude.
Mm-hmm.
I always try to remember a guy by the name of Hilly Crystal that ran CBGB, who said, you know what, I don't necessarily get the music, but I can tell they've got something to say. And really making that, I mean, we were talking about Anthem Republic earlier, who are our friend in Africa that is also a musician. I've got
Right.
I've got guys drooling over here, hoping we can figure out exactly how to make it so that we get the timing perfect and so we can be doing it all together and we're making music with him.
Beautiful.
You know, it's there's a joy in the connections and in I honestly think the anxiety in the world, the things that are causing the things that we're all worried about, is that at the same time as we're all wearing a million masks so that nobody sees us, we all wander around desperately trying to seek a space where we are seen and not judged. But the anxiety is that, oh, what if somebody judges it and we all hide it? You know, my
Well,
theory.
it like I keep referring back to the Brene Brown book, Daring Greatly. If anybody's out there listening that knows Brene Brown, the essence of the book is you are worthy, you are enough, you are a unique person in the
Right.
universe. What you bring is who you are. Who you are is enough.
Absolutely. I love Brene Brown. I
And it's
the
because, yeah, go ahead.
the one I keep in the back of my head all the time was so as I was having all these feelings of all these things that should get done, um, that the way you needed to do things was try to connect people and whatever.
It's
All
belonging. It's
it
about belonging. You need to belong to something. You need to feel, and the only way to belong to something is to have a place so you can go to belong to it.
mhm.
Whether it is, whether it's your family, whether it's this community I'm trying to build.
Well, and
Uh,
it's that you have
I
to
mean,
get in the arena. You have to, okay, if you think these things are needed, you don't get to just stand on it was a Brene Brown TED talk, and she was going, that's fine, but shut up unless you're doing something about it. Because the people over there that aren't quite getting it right exactly the way you want are trying their asses off.
that's how she starts her book. She uses the Teddy Roosevelt
Yeah,
quote.
the Roosevelt quote. And
Yeah, she,
I
the if you're not all in, then you never feel the agony of defeat, the true agony of defeat, or the true sense of victory. Right? It's kind
right.
of sitting on the edge of life doesn't get you much. It could get you a pension, it could get you whatever, but it's not going to get you. being all in life. I mean, depending on your belief structure. I mean, some people believe they're going to go to heaven and live eternally and they'll be fine, right? I don't share that belief. I believe you got to make your mark here, right?
Mm.
And here's where it is. I know here, I don't know there. So I'm going to do
Ooh.
my best here because I don't know where there if there is a there.
My big one is I can't live in there and then, so I've chosen just to abide here and do the best I can. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know about before and after. I'm sorry. I don't know. It's not meant as a like I'm judging anybody else's outlook. I'm just going. I know about this. I know how to be here. That seems to be what the options are. So I'm not going to pay attention to that. I'm going to pay attention to this. So how do you play?
How do I play? You know what? There is a role in life for play. It's a
Mm-hmm.
big role, and I don't get enough play. That's a area of my life I need to improve upon. Um, how do I
A
do?
new priority. You know what? I got to remember to play. I think that's
Yeah,
one of
you
the.
know,
It's
yeah,
important.
I spend a lot of time watching play. Like I love sports, right? I mean, I watch. Like I'm a big Seattle Seahawks fan, and when the Toronto Maple Leafs,
Right?
got eliminated from the playoffs yet again in the first round. I call up all my friends who are Toronto Maple Leaf fans, and
Just
I
rub
laugh
it.
at them.
Rub
Right? I
it
rub
in.
it but you know, I, I, my, I'm a kind of solitude. Like my exercise or where I get my fitness is all, personal. Like I've run ultra marathons, like I've run up mountains. I mean, I've done all this stuff, and it's kind of solitary play. It's not, it's like fitness. I look at play as fitness. Like, how do I get fit? And I run with people.
Is
I
that
guess
kind
that
of where your play and prayer meet? That it's almost a meditation, that's where you take your time to get more grounded as well as,
we're,
spend time with yourself?
the ultimate um, transcendental experience for me was when I was running those long races, those 50K races in the mountains. And because, like, when you get to the start line and you realize you're the second oldest person running it, you kind of wonder, gee, where are all the old people?
Uh-oh.
This is an insane distance for someone your age, buddy. You're 20 years too old to be doing this. But so because I'm at the back of the pack, these races go like 7, 8 hours sometimes.
They're
Someone like me,
long. No, they're insane. My brother
you
was
spend,
training for super marathons. No, you're crazy. I'm gonna go on record right now and just go,
you know,
you're a
well,
nut. You're
he's
right up
probably
there
like
with Jeff running stairs. I'm like going, you guys are crazy. If you
no, he's not that crazy. You can see the top of the stairs. You can never reach the end of the. But I guess the point about the praying part is when you start feeling like ill and you're by yourself and you're in the forest, there is this connection, right?
Yeah.
This happen, right? But it's this. I guess it's a feeling like I'm doing something that not many people can do. I'm in an environment that's amazing, and I'm suffering intensely.
Aren't we? It's humans. It's a thing.
I did have
We have a whole thing with that.
I have had the same experience. Like I've run the New York Marathon twice, and one time, I guess the last time, it was the experience of being totally alone. Not that it's a prayerful experience, but it's this kind of like existential experience where I'm running up First Avenue towards Central Park. There's a million people,
Wow.
both sides of this, running up because it's very well supported. And I'm totally alone, and it's just me because I'm not, at the top of the pack, but
Well,
I
right.
can see
Oh, yeah.
people around me, but I'm pretty much by myself, except for the other runners. And it's just like I'm running up this main street, and and I'm alone. I'm alone amongst a million people, and
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you're referring to. No, that's a powerful experience. It's
and it's kind of like, what's it about? Like again, I'm trying to think. Like here I am by myself, surrounded by millions of people, and it's kind of like the story of the world, right? You're by yourself
yeah.
amongst many, and sometimes I had that experience and I felt very alone. Like I said, even though I had a family and I got support, my wife was waiting for me somewhere in a bagel factory on 55th Street. And I got to get to Central Park, get my medal, and find this place. But
Right.
yeah, so I mean, oops, are you there?
Yeah, no,
Sorry.
I'm here. I'm here. And the thing that I keep wondering is that so I think of that as illustrative of, yeah, very much our global human experience currently. That as
Like
opposed to feeling connected, yeah, all of us feel very alone, surrounded a lot of
I
time.
am I am like struggling with spiritual stuff. Like I have a friend of mine who's also in our the world group who's I think he's an atheist, but he posts all this stuff which makes sense. Like, why am I a Christian? Well, because you're born in Canada. If you were born in Iraq, you'd be a Muslim, right? I mean, like,
Exactly.
what you believe in is like where you were born. It has nothing to do with some existential experience or revelation, right? It's just like, yeah, it's like, like give me a reason why all of this doesn't make sense.
Well, so I'm in all of those groups. I'm in those groups too. It's like, I know, where's Matt at? Everywhere. Um, and one of the things that I wrote the other day that hit me is I was sharing something from somebody that has actually a very Zen tradition in what they were saying, but that I was relating to somebody that morality is empathy's sad, ugly sister. That,
Yeah,
that the reality is that you don't need those definitions. You need compassion for the other people. And that everybody can agree on. Everybody. But we're
yeah,
not. Not that we're doing it. I mean, I so I did have to give up. I used to also do a Bible study group once a week. Yeah. I tried. I really try to hear and meet everybody right where they're at. And it was one of those, they had some definitions of, you know, how many times in the New Testament it says you can't be this way. And I said, okay, I just can't
like
more. I can't. I try.
24 left-handed people are evil at least 24 times. So that puts me in
I'm
good
there.
company.
I'm with you.
But like, so I picked up this book called Misquoting Jesus, and uh, it's a story of it's a history of the Bible
Okay.
as a literary text.
Right.
Like, not give me a passage, but basically it talks about the fact that the King James version that's used by most, you know,
Most
uh,
Catholics and yeah, okay.
Catholics, Christians, whatever you want to call it, is not the oldest. It's not the oldest version, right? It's a newer version,
Mm.
and the guy that wrote this book started off as a devout Mormon and ended up being an atheist when he finished it because what he did, he looked at the text. He looked at the text and the way things are written. And if you look at the Aramaic, the translation into the Greek, right, and you look at the way the words are in the page, you can actually find discrepancies
Oh,
in the
absolutely.
text. And the discrepancies are some of the major things, like the resurrection, like the some of the major kind of like turning points. And there was a huge debate
Well,
when the
there's a whole
scribe.
gospel of Mary that disagrees with
So
all of it.
so wait. You're telling me he was a Mormon and then translated the Bible into the
No,
version that we all use now.
No, 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 no,
Okay,
no.
okay.
No.
no. I'm
Just
talking about
in
the guy who
studying,
wrote.
he
In studying, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so basically, like the Bible was scribed right from person to person,
Mm.
and the people doing the copying, like it's kind of like they were the outcasts. They weren't the educated elite that were making the translations. These were like, people that had no formal training or whatever. They're like the Christians were the underclass, and basically there was this huge debate whether God, Jesus, was man or spirit, and the scribes started putting their opinions into the margins,
Oh,
and sometimes
absolutely. And some of
the
them got
opinion
added.
got added in, right? Like, and so you kind of look at the text and you say, well, and the challenge for me was to say, well, this is one man's opinion, but when you look at it as a literary, you look at it as, where did this come from? What does it mean? What's in it? As a historical text, it's fascinating, but as a document to base your life on, I mean, it's too flawed. It's a flawed document,
Well,
and it's like,
thankfully there really is a lot of beautiful stuff in it. It's a weird, I always find it weird which pieces people choose to be attached to in it, I guess. Like I've always gone with the
well, I guess, but my point is, you can't take it as a complete. as well as a theological statement. This is the only truth there is, because it's it's debatable what the content really is, and like for me, that's the struggle.
I
And the
get that.
struggle is there's a lot of good pieces in it that you want to believe in, and I do. Like the Good Samaritan and some of this other stuff. But there's a lot of stuff in there that I would question.
Go, you know what?
So
I'm gonna jump to
yeah,
the next question after I say this, but
where are you
look
with
up
that?
Benjamin Franklin Bibles. Benjamin Franklin only liked the good stuff, took out all the miracles, took out all the hogwash, and had his own Bible that was just the parts that were like, hey, you're supposed to be a good dude.
I'm not saying Christianity is bad. I believe it's good. I believe the Bible is good, but I believe that it's being misused and misinterpreted. And
It's
the
almost like weaponized Judaism is the way I've compared it. That it's almost like they're
well,
totally missing the message of Christ and then weaponizing pieces of the Old Testament.
the thing is, it's translated from Greek, a simple, and you can go to the next question. Just this one last.
Okay, you're fine. I could
Which
talk to
is,
you forever, Paul. Go ahead.
which is, did God give man dominion or stewardship over the earth? Right. So dominion means cut it up, do whatever you want with it, whereas stewardship means take care of it. Now, there's quite a big debate over the use of the word, the Aramaic or the Greek word, as to what the intention was. So when you think of the fact that and this is coming from my ability to think in different languages, that translating a word wrong, one word can make a big
Can
difference
make a
to that.
huge difference.
And that's an example of one word in the Bible, like where the colonizers were saying, well, we got to conquer it, we
Well,
got to
right.
take it over.
And it's
You know
whether
what I
you're
mean?
supposed to be a steward or whether you're supposed to, it's whether the beasts are at your disposal or whether you're supposed to have some responsibility. What do you
And
love?
and so, well,
What's something you
what do
love, Paul?
I love my wife.
Good thing. That's a pretty
At least my
traditional
yeah.
answer. It's a good one. Keep you out of trouble.
I love I love where I live. I love living where I do. I love the town I live in. I love the country I live in. I love the freedoms I have. I love the fact that I live in a peaceful a nation. I love the fact that what I see a lot. Like because see a lot of what's going on in the states. I mean, my love of this is the fact that if you can live in the same house and be different, you are it's a wonderful place to be. and
Yeah.
and uh
The
and
ability to
that's
have discourse.
and you know what, and I think we still have that. I hope anyway. So I feel that I feel civilized, right? I feel that we're civilized, and we've made some things here that that have been good. um so yeah, so love of but I'm not patriotic. Like patriotic is I
I
love
know what you
where I
mean.
live, but
I
it's
feel
not
that
like
way
it's
too. It's not like a nationalism thing. It's a
an appreciation thing.
yeah, a gratitude. No, you know what?
It's
To be
not that I'm better
honest,
than yeah,
you're
I'm not better than you. I'm not better than anyone else. I'm grateful to it's gratitude. I'm just grateful to live here. For the grace of God, I could have been because I've seen because we both know a Syrian,
yeah,
Matt
yeah.
group,
There's
and
real life stuff.
where who's had to leave his country and at the gunpoint, and he was involved with politics, and he ended up having to leave because his life was threatened and his kids were threatened. His children, they had to hide in a chicken coop. The only reason he got out alive is because he had kids,
Wow.
and that whole trip to Turkey and, then to Canada. So, I mean, like, and I don't know if people see that.
Perspective. Like real
Well,
perspective though.
but it's like, 90% of the world is suffering.
Right.
But for the grace of God, I live here and I'm not suffering. I mean, I never have to worry about somebody breaking into my home or killing me, or carting me away to prison. Now, one of the men I helped, Syrian man, was carted off because they thought his brother, he was harboring a terrorist. He got dragged to prison. They
Jeez.
hung him up. He said like Jesus, and they beat the shit out of him. And they knocked his brain. So he had to have a lobotomy because they knocked his head so hard that his brain swelled. And the guy is basically, I don't know how he's alive. He's here,
He's
Canada,
here. Yeah, but it sounds
but
like
he.
wow. Oh my.
What do I love? I love the fact I live in a free country. I love the fact that I have people in my life. I love the fact I met you, Matt.
Oh, me
Uh,
too. I feel
you
that
know, so,
mutually. That's a very mutual feeling, Paul.
like, I mean, and I'm just trying to build a better world, and you know what? And I'm allowed to do it. I don't
Right.
have somebody cutting me off or censoring me or telling me that I can't say what I want to say. So
Well,
that's what I love. I love the fact that I am lucky. I put it down. I'm a lucky guy.
I think that we are both people that believe in the concept of what if more of us pointed our spotlights at the sky? You know,
Yeah.
that
Well, you
in
like
my
being.
head it's like a bat signal. It's like, hey, calling all humans, are you know what, there's something going amiss at the moment. What if we all talk to each other instead of letting them talk anymore?
Yeah. Okay. So I'm keeping you up at night. You want? Should we skip ahead to
What do
other
you what
things?
do you what do you fear?
I fear dying.
Right?
I've got work to do. Yeah.
What do
This.
you we'll jump to what do you know? What do you feel like you know in the world? What do you attach to as going, you know what, I do know that at least.
I know that I don't know. I know what I know is that I have a lot to learn. What I know is that um, in order to fully appreciate people, you have to you have to hear what they're really saying. I know that
Yeah.
I can't, I know that I'm not always right. I know that what I believe in is not necessarily what everyone needs to believe in. I know that there are many ways to get to the finish line. Um, I know I'm lucky, like I said before. Um,
Gratitude. Yeah, I'm not a big one on luck, good luck or bad, but I'm big on the idea of grateful. That so yeah, over and over again. I totally
yeah, I know I'm fortunate. I know, I mean, it's just like, yeah,
you know that you don't know it all. And you know what? I think that's knowing the most because that's how you actually learn things.
I know I'm accepting and open minded, right? I know that I can live with other people. And I know that I don't, when a First Nations person, we call them First Nations people here,
Mm-hmm.
uh, uh, that I know that I can never understand what has been taken from them. I also know that um, accepting the pain of what colonialism has done to them,
Mm-hmm.
right,
Yeah, no,
is
definitely.
it's a reality. But you know what? But you can't. It's like you can't know that. You can't know what they've been through
No,
as
and
as culture stuff. Like
every perspective is different. That's kind of the cool thing about what we both do is that no, I'm never going to be able to truly understand someone else's perspective. But I
like I
know that
don't.
mine's not complete. That doesn't cover the bases.
So I know what you're feeling, and I know how you are, and I know like I don't know how you are. I mean, I have a snippet of what you're telling me,
Right,
and I'd like to know
right.
more about you. But so I
So
am
that's
not
what
a
you
no.
want to know. You want to know more about me? Really? That's in the scene of the universe? That's the next question actually. But
But you know what, Matthew? The thing I've learned from my wife is the only way to know somebody is to ask questions, and
yes.
the people that ask the questions make the connections, because asking a question means I want to know you. I want to know what's important to you. I want to know something specific about you because knowing about you enriches my experience with you, right?
Yeah. Well, it's the entire project. It's why we
Yeah.
want to spend 12 months telling stories. That I literally can feel the connection right this minute and feel like this process, 10 questions, and it happens every time I do it. And that doesn't make it any less special, I promise. That it blows me away. I don't expect it every time. I look forward to it, but there's this very real thing of wanting to see people as people. These are questions that don't say, hey, what were your accomplishments? These aren't questions that say, how many children do you have? Those things all come up. But what they really are is, I want to see you and hear you and know who you are. Why are you here?
That's a good question.
That's a big one. And I tried to make them, how could I make a list of questions with as few words as possible that could stump people for long enough to make a 45-minute to an hour show?
Way over that. I'm over an hour now, but what do I know? Why am I here?
You're at 45 minutes live, actually.
I don't know, like, why am I here? I didn't have a choice to be here, right? I mean, why am I here? I'm here to make a difference.
Well, in my head, I thought of this question and I thought of you. I thought of us as men driven by our why, driven by our feeling of giving service. That when I see wise men in the things you and I work on, what I think of it as is that S is so important because what it shows is ownership over a man owned by his why. That it's that possessive S that drives us, and you know what? In the marathon, pushes us across the line on the days that we're not sure we can put our feet in front of us.
Well, Matthew, my take on it, my conceiving of it was more the wise men, WHYS men, was more along the line of we exist in a community where we can support each other's why for being there.
Right? No, no. I
Why I should, yeah, yeah,
that
that was the
a safe place where men can ask why. You know,
yeah.
as simple and short as it gets, right there. A safe place for men to ask why.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of days that I think both of us have been in the position of, oh God, why? 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 You know, I think that's a shared experience we've all had. You know what? Paul, I am so grateful. I still to this day, and I have reached out to Jordan once to even ask. I don't know how he found me. I don't know where I came from. Um, I was in a moment. It's a combination of events that one of these days I'll have to explain to you that literally is as illogical as it gets. And I feel so fortunate. Thank you so much for coming to talk to us. I
Thanks, buddy. Thanks for the invite. Good
it's
luck with your with the process of connecting
thank you.
everybody in
Thank
the
you.
world
You
together,
too. You
which is
too.
great. Okay. Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, brother. Hold on
Have a good
just a
evening.
sec. Oh, you know
Oh,
what? I'll let you go. You've got
no,
things
that's
go
okay.
either way.
No, yeah, no, I'm good.
Okay,
What
hold
do we
on.
need to do? Yeah.
Do you have anything you want to plug? It dawns on me I didn't say that. Now, usually I say that.
Well, what I want to do is if there's any like Matt and I are involved with this men's community. It's called the Wise Men. Basically, well, I'm doing this as it is a give back to the world of men because men's groups have helped me through many things that I've had to deal with in my life, significant weight loss, a bad marriage, just to be connected. So the give back for me is I'm creating this community. I'm looking for men to join, and there's no cost. I'm not. I'm retired. I am well off. I don't need anyone to give me money because if you gave me money, I'd have to give it back to you. I don't
Right.
need it. So, so it's a heartfelt call out to people that
We-
want to get
yeah.
want to join. So I don't know how
That
you
that
connect
both
to
of
you.
us very much feel like, you know, and it's funny because I didn't have a history in men's work before I came into this with you. I'd had somebody ask me to start a group based on men's mental health and kind of had a spiritual side to it, and that's where the page that is totally unrelated to that started. Um, but then over time, it's been interesting because I've been interested in understanding the whys of the men involved in it, and I began to understand its value to me. We were just having a conversation in a group the other day where I admitted that as a man, it's really hard to ask for help, and that's an open thing that kind of as men we all know, but it was really good to be in a safe space where I could say it. And I think that in some ways describes what you're doing with T, that there needs to be a safe space where
Well,
people,
these
yeah,
yeah get together. It needs to be a place where you can be real and be seen, be heard. And the context is getting your boys back, which means like when we grow up as young men, we have friends, we get along. Oh, then we grow up, we get a job, we have a family, we live in a community with women,
mm-hmm.
and because we can't express emotions strongly, a lot of what we are gets bottled up. So this is a place where you can unbottle yourself and where you can talk to people who aren't don't know you You
Right.
not they know you, but they don't know your friends. Not it's a confidential environment. You can talk about whatever's on your mind. Um,
Without fear of judgment. Yeah,
and
we
it's
definitely get the range.
and the difference with this group is you're connecting with men from all over the world. Like we all share the same sphere. This puts you in touch with men in Australia, men in Europe, men in Africa. It's a place where you can meet and talk to people from different cultures and get different perspectives on what it is to be a man. So I don't know how you go about promoting other work here, but I'm not making money at this.
No.
It's men.
It's very much, you know what? This will find a life out on, you know, shoot, YouTube and Spotify. And it's another place to point people. And it's tagged to you. And we could eventually
Okay,
add a tag to the men's group if somebody wanted. I've thought about the idea. It would be fun to do a series of interviews for the men's group page. So, I mean, obviously, we could do stuff like this anywhere. But tonight,
yeah,
I'm going to say thank you. And
all
I'm
right,
going to remember to end it this time. I could talk to you all day, Paul. I really,
great,
in all honesty, I just, and I feel so. I see you, brother. That was
okay.
amazing. I just